Chapter 27. Snortle Snort. I don't understand. He was here before, said Virgo. He's not in the house, said Aphrodite, running back to the circle of worried immortals. And I can't find Josie either. The back door was open.
Athene and Hephaestus, search the farm for Josie, ordered Zeus. The gate was shut. She can't have gone far.
The two gods nodded and ran off in opposite directions across the field. It's been hours, said Virgo, looking gravely at Zeus. It's all my fault. I should have stayed with him. The jacuzzi isn't even that comfortable. I can't tell you where the bubbles went.
I'm sure it'll be fine, said Zeus unconvincingly. Where could he be? Look at me, Virgo shouted suddenly.
It's not about you right now, babe, said Hermes. No, your app, said Virgo, returning the forgotten eye god to Hermes. You put Elliot on it, remember? You can find him.
Mega bosh, cheered Hermes,
his fingers punching at the eye god with lightning speed.
Where are you, mate?
Josie, Zeus exclaimed. The immortals ran over to where Athene was escorting a shaking Josie in her arms. Aphrodite rubbed Josie's frozen hands in hers while Zeus put his jacket around her shoulders. I found her roaming around the field, said Athene, along with this. Athene handed her father the discarded imperial crown, minus the Earthstone. They exchanged a worried glance. I don't, what have I done? Cried Josie, pulling at her hair as the tears ran down her face. In her other hand was the contract of sale for Home Farm. It says Where's Ellie? I can't find him. It's okay, Josie. We're here now, soothed Athene as Zeus gently took the papers from Josie's trembling hands. We'll find him, I promise.
Oh, no, said Zeus, rifling through the contract. Poor Elliot. Why didn't he tell us?
Let me see, said Athene, reading the document, aghast.
No, that awful woman, how could she?
Not being funny, said Hermes, hitting his eye god with his palm.
Look at me, it isn't working.
No signal, said Aphrodite. It's not that, babe. It says he's found Elliot, said Hermes. But he says he's in the underworld. Well, that can't be right. Let me see, said Virgo, grabbing the eye god.
It's insisting, said Hermes, as Virgo threw the device back to him.
Why would he go down there?
Thanatos, said Zeus grimly. Elliot's desperate. I should have seen the signs. We have to get him out of there.
Seriously, said Hermes. But how? We can't go to the underworld.
The wishing pearl, cried Aphrodite. We can wish him home.
It's already been used once today, said Athene. You said Thanatos can't kill him.
But there are plenty of other things he can do, said Zeus. Virgo, you're the only one of us who can travel to the underworld. You're going to have to...
I think she already has, said Athene, looking at the open gate and the silver dot on the horizon that was sprinting towards the river.
Can't you go any faster? Virgo yelled at Charon.
Listen, it ain't my fault where your river works are all along... Listen, it ain't my fault there were river works all around the Atron, said Charon, as he rode along the gloomy River Leith. And that two knot average speed check is doing my head in. You need to have a word with the council. Anyway, you don't need me. You could just whiz down here on your starball.
It's a constellation, screamed Virgo.
And I can't unless I want to lose my card here and spend the rest of my shortened days as a mortal.
What were you thinking, taking Elliot to Thanatos?
I'll just take the jobs, mate. None of my business who's doing what to whom, said Charon. All I ask is you pay me a fare, specify your preferred route, and don't be sick in me boat. It's a nightmare when someone vomits on me floorboards.
Fine, just hurry up,
hissed Virgo, looking along the banks of the Leith for any sign of her lost mortal friend.
Next stop, Cave of Sleep and Death, announced Charon.
Elliot, where are you? Shouted Virgo along the murky riverbank. Oh, this is no good. I can't see a thing. If only I could use my glow. Virgo's mind wrestled with itself. Would that count as breaking the rules? Her face screwed up with indecision.
I know that feeling, said Charon softly.
You do? Said Virgo. What should I do?
Get yourself some concentrated prune juice, said Charon brightly. Clears out constipation like Daedalus's dynamite.
Oh, you're no help, huffed Virgo. Look, it's only a tiny power and there are no mortals to see. She cautiously pulled her palms apart to illuminate her body and cast a ray of starlight over the riverbank. Where are you? She moaned. Suddenly, her glow caught a glimmer on the riverbank, sending tiny rainbows bursting through the darkness. It was the Earthstone, and just beyond it lay Elliot's comatose body. "There he is!" shouted Virgo. "Over there!" Charon steered the boat to the shore, and Virgo bounded to Elliot's side. "Elliot!" she screamed, shaking his body. "Elliot, wake up!" She looked around for any sign of Thanatos or his twin, but the unconscious boy was the only life there, although it didn't look as though he had much life in him. Virgo turned Elliot over and slapped his pale cheeks, but he lay motionless in her arms. She put her face to his chest, an unpleasant sensation fluttering around her own. Her nose caught a scent, and she sniffed Elliot's face. "Leith water!" she cried. "I can smell it on his breath. We have to get it out of him before it's too late. How fast can you get back to Earth?" "You saw the state of the traffic, darling. Could take an hour or more," said Charon. "He doesn't have an hour," cried Virgo. "If the water gets into his blood... Oh, I don't know what to do. Elliot, come on. Elliot, you have to wake up." But Elliot didn't flicker. He needed the gods. If Virgo was going to save him, she only had one option. It must be the right thing to do. Surely the council would understand. "Oh, snortle snort," yelled Virgo. Throwing her arms wide, she transformed into her constellation, scooped Elliot up in her starry glow, whizzed past Charon in his boat, and raced through the realms at top speed. "Elliot!" shouted Zeus, seeing the unconscious boy floating down to home farm in Virgo's constellation. In a mad scramble of arms and hands, the immortals lifted Elliot down and laid him on the ground. "He's drunk water from the Leith," cried Virgo bleakly. "I tried to get him here as fast as I could, but we'll have to get him out of that water, and we'll have to get that water out of him. Father, put your hands like this," commanded Athene, placing her hands on Elliot's ribs. "When I nod gently, press down on his rib cage." As Hermes shot into the air to check that Josie was still safely in the farmhouse, Athene started blowing rhythmic breaths into Elliot's mouth, signalling to Zeus to pump his chest. "Come on, Elliot," panted Zeus. "Spit it out. Come back to us." The other immortals stood frozen around Elliot's body, barely drawing breath as Athene and Zeus tried to force the water of oblivion from Elliot's body. They looked on in desperate hope, watching for a flicker of consciousness, a movement, a sound, any sign that Elliot was going to wake up. But the pale boy lay comatose on the floor and gave not so much as a finger twitch in response to the gods' desperate efforts to revive him. After several endless minutes, Athene stopped her breaths. "It's too late," she said quietly. Zeus put a heavy hand on her shoulder. Virgo hung her head. She was experiencing another unpleasant sensation in her chest, a kind of hollow, twisting feeling that spread darkness around her body and forced drops of liquid out of her eyes. As the leakage ran down her face, she'd never felt so suboptimal. A tear-stained Aphrodite forced her way to Elliot's side. "Call that the kiss of life!" she screamed wildly, pushing her father and sister out of the way. "Come on, Ellie, time to come home." And with a tearful sob, Aphrodite lifted Elliot's head from the ground and planted an enormous and very long kiss square on his pale lips. Everything was silent. The still air broken only by Virgo's sobs. Zeus pulled her to him. "He's at peace," he said gently. "He's been through so much," said Athene, biting back tears that shone from her brown eyes. "He's a hero," said Hephaestus, shaking his head. He's blushing," said Hermes, "not being funny or anything." Everyone craned their necks to stare at Elliot's face. Hermes was right. The face that had been a sickly shade of grey just moments before was becoming steadily more scarlet, as if it were being filled from the chin with cherryade. "Ellie!" cried Aphrodite, breaking from the kiss. "Ellie, are you there?" With an almighty belch, Elliot sat bolt upright and spewed the Leith water volcanically out of his body. "Elliot!" screamed Virgo, freeing herself from Zeus's embrace and hurtling towards her friend, knocking him flying with a diving hug and impulsively kissing him on the cheek with relief. "Oh, I preferred it when she did it," croaked Elliot, still gasping for air and now rubbing a sore head from Virgo's enthusiastic welcome. "Ellie!" screamed Aphrodite, diving in as well to hug him senseless. "Epic bosh!" yelled Hermes, joining the fray. "Give the boy some air, for goodness sake," said a relieved Athene, wiping her tear from her eye. "Oh, what the heck!" And she too threw herself at the pile of people on the ground and gave Elliot a delighted squeeze. "Good show, old girl," said Zeus softly to Virgo, who beamed with pride. When Elliot was finally allowed to his feet, he slunk over to Zeus and handed him the Earthstone with his eyes glued to the ground. Zeus lifted Elliot's chin and answered his guilty glance with a reassuring smile. Now was not the time for words, not those ones. Hermes' Zygod rang in the background. "Virgo, babe, call for you," he said. "It's the Zodiac Council." "Ah," said Virgo with a satisfied smile as Hermes projected the hologram of the council table into the evening air. "Calling to congratulate me, no doubt. Hello, everyone."
"Virgo!" roared Piaces with a look that didn't look very congratulatory at all. "I thought we made ourselves perfectly clear. You were forbidden from using your constellation powers."
I was, however," said Virgo.
"It seems that you have developed a callous disregard for authority," huffed Ares. "The rules are there to be obeyed."
Yes, but,
stammered Virgo. "There will be no more buts from you, young lady," shouted Taurus. "But I have a big butt."
"You're not wrong," murmured Leo, as the other Zodiac councillors sniggered behind their papers. "She saved my life," said Elliot, looking gratefully at his friend.
"Silence!" shouted Piaces. "Virgo, this is very serious indeed. You have proven once again that you cannot be trusted to follow a simple set of rules."
"Of course I can. It's just that..."
"Just what?" demanded Sagittarius.
"It's just that maybe sometimes, on certain extremely rare occasions, when no other viable alternative prevents itself, then, and only then, perhaps..."
"Our rules suck!"
Virgo blurted out, immediately clasping her hand to her mouth. The council gasped in horror as Aphrodite and Hermes high-fived in the background.
"I can see you have been spending way too much time around mortals and their strange lawless ways," said Scorpio. "Indeed," said Aquarius. "Well, let me see how you manage amongst them on a more permanent basis." "Now, hang on a minute," said Zeus. "She was only trying to..." "I'm sorry, Your Majesty," said Piaces, "but Virgo has left us no alternative. Or staples. We can't find a single one. Virgo, constellation of the Zodiac Council and former guardian of the stationery cupboard, I hereby strip you of your cardia. You will be suspended from immortality, pending a formal trial upon completion of the forms X4SUF, recategorizing of an immortal, VF4GL, breaking of an arbitrary rule, and GH74P, because we feel like it."
No, please," cried Virgo, as a thin stream of stars appeared around her neck and unfastened her cardia. "We will fight this," shouted Athene, as the cardia came away from Virgo's neck and floated up to the sky.
"Mate,"
said Hermes, trying unsuccessfully to grab it in midair.
"Give it back to her, you bureaucratic bumhead," yelled Aphrodite. "You can make your case at the trial," said Piaces, "but until then, Virgo will live her life as a mortal, with all the dangers and discomforts that brings."
But that's not fair," said Virgo weakly.
"Life isn't fair," said Piaces, as his hologram faded away. "As you're about to find out. Goodbye, Virgo."